Good evening. The State Capture Commission's heard that the SABC depended on the honesty of its clients to monitor royalties owed for footage sold.
According to SABC's former senior archive sales representative, Sias Scott, it would have cost too much to put in place mechanisms to monitor for how long clients use their footage. Scott was relating details of a deal signed between the public broadcaster and the company that became ANN7.
I got a call from the secretary of the acting CEO at that stage, Mr. Mchunu, and she said to me, Sias, Claudia would like to see you.
Yes.
I said, when? She said to me, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. So the next morning, 9 o'clock, I went up to his office. He was not there. He got stuck in traffic in Sandton. And like everybody knows me, I do not work Africa time. If appointment's for 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock, not 9:05. I turned around and I said, do me a favor. I'm not going to waste the SABC's time and my time. I'm going back to the office. When he arrives, phone me.
Yes.
I was basically on my way down to my office when he phoned me, and he apologized and he said to me, sorry, I'm late, but I'm in the office now. So I went back to his office, and he wanted to know how the sale of archive material works. So I explained to him, you've got to do the research, you know, you've got to transfer it from original to copy.
Sorry, Mr. Scott, let's take that process slowly, because you deal with that process in paragraph 7 onwards of your statement. Just describe it slowly to the chairperson. How does that process work?
Okay, let me start from the beginning. I explained to him the process. I want an email from the client requesting material. The client must tell me exactly what the material will be used for. Then I will quote the client. And if the client accepts the quotation, then only will I go further by doing research on what the client wants, and then arrange for the client to come in and select the material. Our conversation lasted about 10 minutes maximum. And he said to me, Sias, expect a call from someone who needs footage. And that's the last I've heard from Mr. Mchunu about the deal with ANN7.
Part of the testimony in front of the Zondo Commission into State Capture today about the ANN7 SABC deal signed several years ago now. Well, in that hearing for us, once again, Manqoba Mchunu. Manqoba, okay, a lot of testimony coming through today. Let's watch together some of the testimony that happened and get a bit more information about what happened there today.
I gave my quotation only after I had a chat to our CE, Chief Executive of News, Jimmy Matthews. And I said to him, Jimmy, I was excited because we've never sold 2,000 minutes of footage to one client. And I knew it was going to be a big deal. And we chatted and chatted and chatted, and we decided, okay, fine. Instead of charging 100 Rand per minute, we're going to charge 70 Rand per minute. Okay. Went back and I emailed him, Nazim Hova. I said to him, this is the best I can do. And he came back and he said, accept it.
Yes. And then what about the 500 Rand for...
No, that we waived.
Okay.
We decided not to charge it, because if I had to add that, I would have chased them away completely.
All right. Can you just try and
But what was wrong with that? Wasn't your job wasn't your job to charge according to the price guide? Was your job not to charge according to the price guide?
It was, Your Honourable, but if I do get the permission from whoever is in charge of overall news, and Jimmy said, let's waive it.
More of that testimony available for you on sabcnews.com tonight. All right, Manqoba still with us. Okay, interesting testimony. Sum this up for us, right? Is this testimony suggesting that the SABC lost out? It gave its archive footage to ANN7 for a price or for nothing, a price far less than it was worth?
Well, that's a claim that's been made by the former ANN editor Rajesh Sundaran, who says that literally the Gupta brothers had boasted, even Nazim Hawa, who was one of the associated boasted that, in fact, they got this footage from the SABC for peanuts. He said that they got this sweet deal because of the alleged relationship with the former President Jacob Zuma. And of course, he says that the footage that they got at the SABC was at a far more less price than what it should have been. So he says basically that the SABC had a raw deal in this particular instance because it was the Guptas that benefited with 100 hours of footage, which really they paid very little for. He says initially the Guptas were meant to get about 33 hours of the footage, but they ended up with 3 times more than that. Which they did take, and the SABC didn't have a monitoring system in place. They didn't even check it up and follow it up. So they were more on the beneficial side of this deal than the SABC was. So it seems, yeah, they did somehow were compromised by the deal.
There are quite a few interesting names here. I mean, one of the names mentioned by Sias Scott in the testimony we saw now was a name we haven't heard here at the SABC for a little while, Hlaudi Motsoeneng. I mean, what was happening around it? How did this happen, I suppose, is the question. Who were the people driving it? Was Hlaudi Motsoeneng part of this?
Well, Scott testified, of course, that, according to his version of events, he disputes what Sundaran had claimed that, the archives was given at a much lesser price than what it should have been. But he does, however, concede that, they did give a discount to ANN7. And he says that instead of charging 100 Rand per minute for the footage, they charged 70 Rands per minute. And he says this was at the behest of the former group executive of News, who's Jimmy Matthews, who have since left the organization. And of course, he says Jimmy also waived, as you heard in that soundbite that we played before, a certain technical fees that were involved in also copying this material from our edit suites. And he says that, Hlaudi Motsoeneng initially was the one that called him to say, listen, ANN7 wants footage, so speak to them. But he doesn't say that Jimmy in any way made any try to make him to accept the deal or to try and in any way influence that deal that was happening at the time. He just simply said that Hlaudi called him to inform him that the deal was going to happen with the Guptas.
And the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, watching all of this, we've seen him shocked by previous testimony. How did he take to this? What does he want to happen now?
Well, the Deputy Chief Justice obviously was not convinced by a probe. You'll recall that the SABC also launched a forensic investigation last year into this matter. But of course, the evidence that was given today is that nothing really came out of that probe, with the evidence leader, Thandi Norman, saying that, in fact, that probe was rushed, and there was not much of it that came from that probe. So the chair is saying that he wants this now to be properly probed. If there is a complaint that the SABC lost a lot of revenue through this deal that was done with the Guptas, then that issue should be looked into. He says that experts who are experts in this field of archiving and so forth should look into how this deal was done and whether the SABC was indeed at a loss through this deal.
Well, let's have a look at what the Deputy Chief Justice said. I mean, obviously some interesting comments coming from him today.
The last witness that was before you, can you hear? He gave evidence and said somebody from ANN7 or somebody connected with ANN7 to whom the footage was sold by SABC was posting around saying that they got this footage from SABC for peanuts. I think there was mention of beer and for beer and something else. I don't know whether you said that or somebody else.
Chairperson, if that person got it for peanuts, he didn't get it from me, A, and B, I stuck to the agreement which I had with Nazim Hawa.
All right, so some of that testimony there for you. Manqoba, okay, 2 days of ANN7 testimony in the SABC. What's happening tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow expect testimony around the issues at Transnet to also continue with Jonathan Bloom expected to come back on the stand to give more details about how prices were inflated at the state-owned enterprises.
Manqoba Mchunu, thanks very much indeed. Really do appreciate it. The latest on that. More, of course, for you on sabcnews.com. Nzinga has more news for you tonight.